Welcome, everyone. Today, I'm speaking with the creator of MYT, an innovative accounting solution built by an accountant for accountants. MYT combines automation, AI, and practical workflow tools to make bookkeeping, financial statements, and MTD compliance faster and accurate. Thank you for joining me, Umesh.
Thank you for having me, Emmanuel. It's been a pleasure. Um, I know you've been using Mighty, so you probably have a more understanding of what we've been doing for a while. But yeah, my name is Umesh Soba. I'm the CEO of Mighty Software in the UK.
Amazing. That's amazing. Yes, I've been using Mighty, and I've explored some of the fantastic features that you've got in Mighty. But I'm going to get you today to do most of the talking from the horse's own mouth, and then I can sort of share my experience along the way. So let's start with the origin. What inspired you to create Mighty, and which specific challenges in day-to-day practice accounting were you aiming to solve when you started thinking or when you started develop this powerful tool called Mighty?
I mean, it started about 15 years ago when we were trying to see how we can enhance our practice. At the time, we had quite a lot of clients on self-assessment, and we were trying to think how we can actually make it easier for them to give us information, making sure that we don't do repetitive tasks, making sure that we get the information on time. And one of the biggest problem was trying to get this information on time from those people. So we tried to make sure that we get the information ready for us to do the bookkeeping, but also to give us the opportunity to do it on time and accurately. So the development of Mighty started about 15 years ago, just trying
Wow.
to get the data from people, because small businesses are very difficult to get their information to their accountant on time. It's one of the biggest problem that most people will face with MTD coming, is how do you get clients to give you those information. Normally you have 9 months to do a tax return, and you take them the ninth month of the year to give you the information. Now we have 1 month to do a quarterly submission, so it would be more difficult to provide this kind of thing. So that's why we started it at the time, just to get the information. And then over the years, it got evolved into from collecting information, we had the information. Then we thought, what we're going to do with it. And obviously, we started using automation and intelligent technologies to improve the repetitive tasks like entering invoice, etc. Then over lockdown, we said, what we're going to do with that information. Then we developed the bookkeeping package, which is now fully fledged, bookkeeping software.
Oh, that's wonderful. So it sounds like even before HMRC started thinking about MTD, you had already perceived it 15 years ago. Is that not wonderful?
I know. I mean,
So
it is a bit of a curse when you know what's going to happen, and then it's kind of trying to figure out, are you the only silly one to do it, right? To spend all your resources over the last 15 years to put it into play. But yeah, it's something we always wanted to do. I think I have a technology background in a sense that I've always been a tech savvy person, right? Always wanted to do stuff, and it's always nice. Like, people have nice
I
iPhone,
I I,
nice
I complete I
technology.
completely agree. Nowadays it's going digital, so I mean you can't run away from that. Now, a quick question. So as an accountant yourself, I
Yeah.
know that you've lived this. I mean, you've lived these challenges. So what gap did you see in the existing softwares or the accounting packages that are out there that prompted you to think, no, something has got to change now, and hence the development of MyT?
Yes, I mean, the initial conversation was always about how do we get information from the customer, right? That's what the initial thing. But then you realize that, there was some software out there that you can collect data and everything else, but there was not enough. The app world was not really as it is now. So there was not a lot of collection of data. And, people used to bring a bag of receipts or a box of receipts and all that kind of
Yeah.
things. I lived through all of
And
that.
they've got to sort them out.
Exactly. So which is thought, that's just a waste of time. And there was, better things to do in life than to look for a box of receipts and try to enter it manually. In whatever software you're using, you could be using any kind of software. And I've used almost every software that's kind of in existence to kind of do that. Um, and I was just trying to think, okay, what would be the best way to kind of get these things sorted out? And now we realize that, having some kind of automation to repetitive tasks would be very helpful. and that would kind of help us get into, you know, what we want to do into that system. So yeah, so that's how we kind of move on that.
Wonderful, wonderful. So I have explored MYT. I have used it for the last, I'll say, about 6 months now, and I've loved it, like I said. But can you, being an innovator and a creator, can you talk us through how the AI processes the receipts, the invoices, and the bank data in terms of reconciliation and all that? Can you talk me? And feel free to use your screen to, to demonstrate it if it's something that you want to do now.
Yeah. So let me just talk you through it. So once we had the receipt, we're thinking what we're going to do with the receipt, and the idea was we have, you know, OCR technology, so we build our own data extraction, and that took a lot of time because obviously we had to buy the machine, we had to fill it in, we had to scan invoices, we had to get those invoices into the system, we had to teach the system. You know, this was pre-AI we're talking about. This is machine learning level. So we had to do a lot of those kind of coding and everything else in the office trying to get it to work. And the proof of concept work, we know that we can actually make it work. And that was really, really kind of where we thought, okay, you know what, we can make a real difference. And that was at the time when the like of Dex and other big software company was coming, but they were quite expensive. And one of the other reasons we set up MYT was about to make it simple for people to use, simple for people to understand. You know, you don't need to be an accountant to use a software. If you look at big companies like Sage or QuickBooks or Xero, some of them, you need to become an accountant to understand what exactly you're doing, because otherwise you don't get it. And it's quite difficult if you're going to get your clients to be digital, you need to help them with a package that they can actually use themselves without causing more trouble, right? Without going and creating more discrepancies or not reconciling the bank properly, etc. So having that, I think, does help to have simplified accounting, which is what we call simplified bookkeeping for MYT, just making it too easy for people to use. And we've had the compliment or complain, whichever way you look at it, says, oh, this system is too simple. It's like, yeah, but it does the job. You know, you don't need extra, you know, big fancy things to do it. So one of the simple thing that I can show you is basically, you know, once someone upload an invoice on MYT, so I'll log in as a user. Normally, when you log in for the first time, you will have a two-factor authentication.
Right.
But once you've logged in, you trust your computer, you trust your device, you will automatically just get in and you wouldn't have to do two-factor authentication. So one of the things that we do is if you take a picture of a receipts, right, you will automatically extract it. So for example, I took a picture this morning and that's a parking receipt and it's extracting it, but there's a problem with it. And the problem is, let me show you what the problem is, because the receipt doesn't have enough information. I know that when I put it on, but I still wanted to see what the system does. It's always good to check how your system works. So for instance, you know, so for example, it was quite difficult to see what was the amount because there was no fixed amount on, because it was just a piece of paper. The date was very irregular. So this is the kind of thing that we are trying to train the system to work. So we're going to leave that for the system to work and fill it in. So at the moment, you can only fill in the top bit, and hopefully it's still pending at the moment. But once this is success, it would actually extract the other bit as well. So if you upload an invoice, for example, if you upload this invoice into the system, it would automatically extract it and then process it, but it doesn't know where the account goes because this is the first time the system saw this invoice. So then you will click on it and tell the system where does it go, right? And then once you tell the system where does it go, the next time it will know where it is and it will do it automatically. So you don't need to, but for the first time you have to tell the system. So this is a test. By the way, this is a test site. That's why there's loads of undone there, because I wanted to show people how it works. So yeah, so normally here you will come, you will map it, and you will say, okay, this is where it goes, and this is what you're going to do. So this is GSF car parks, and you can see it here, and you can look at the invoice and say, okay, this is an invoice from a customer, because this is actually not for any customer. This is just an invoice that we took as an example, but it goes to show that it's taken the information and everything has been extracted. I can just say, okay, this is cost of sales purchases. So next time anything that come from GSF car parts, it will automatically do it as that. So that's the systems from here, automatically extract the information to automatically post it. So this is another example when we done in February, whereby it's posted it knows what Screwfix is, and this is entered automatically into your purchase bill. So all the information are here. If you want to look at the bill, this is the bill, the amount, and this is the amount that's been extracted. The VAT and everything else is here. So the system automatically extracted it, knows Screwfix is an invoice, and automatically it's done that. Now, all you have to do is when you come to banking, we are improving our open banking at the moment, so you cannot connect. But if you were to import your bank transaction, you can easily review here the transaction and post it accordingly. So it's going to be quite easy for you to say, okay, yep, I've spent this money here. The bill is already sitting on my purchases. So we have all the bills sitting here, and we're just going to pay it. And we can pay it two ways, either pay bill here, or banking, for data, and then pay it here. So that's how the system workflow works in that sense.
Wow, wow. I mean, this is a very intelligent AI tool. I mean, learning over time, trying to you're feeding it with instructions, and then the next time it picks it automatically. I think this is where the world is headed towards, and I think this is a very powerful tool. But a follow up on that, what we do in practice is we ensure that accuracy is everything. And so, how does MYT ensure the correct categorization? I know you've touched on that a little bit, the correct categorization and a reliable P&L cash flow and balance sheet output.
So most of the categorization is done when we set up on what we call the supplier account, right? Which is the list of things that we need to map. But if we make any mistake, you can easily come. So let's say you do a profit and loss, and you're thinking, oh my God, I've done these purchases wrong because this is not the purchases, because you think you're looking at your profit and loss. And that's where I think accountants need to kind of understand their profit and loss and their balance sheet and all their cash flow and everything else, and look at the profit and loss for their clients, knowing their clients would think, I don't think this is right, or I don't think this is right. Then they will go on the ledger and they can just click on it, and then they can just make the changes without affecting the VAT return, nothing. They can just come here. In this case, they can just edit and just change the accounts and just said, okay, I got it wrong. This is not there. Okay, I'll save it. And that's it. So if they think there's a mistake, they can do it, change it. But generally speaking, once you've trained the system will understand where this information will go.
Yeah. we want systems and programs that will help us save time for other equally important things. So
yeah,
I think that's a very powerful one. Now someone is going to say, okay, so what? So can you share a real example where MYT significantly reduced workload or turnaround time for a client file? I mean, I know you've been testing, I know you've been speaking to people like myself. For me, I think I can say a line. I use MYT for my invoicing, for my bookkeeping, and I think that, as you said, I can attest that it learns over time. So for the customers that I do repeated work for, it just recognizes it. For instance, sometimes you type the email or you type the name of the company, and then automatically it generates it, and then you can do whatever you want with it. So apart from myself, who is the host now. Have people shared real examples where MYT has significantly reduced workload or their turnaround time for client file or something?
Yeah. I mean, we we can take our example as well. We have clients who will send information yesterday, and by today you will have a VAT return ready for them to submit to HMRC. So, and then you will click here, you will get all the information for the VAT, and all that information will be included in the VAT return. So as soon as these goes into the purchase overview, it comes into your VAT return. Same apply for your income. So when you're creating your invoice, so it's easily just do that, and then from here you can submit to HMRC quite easily.
Beautiful.
So it's very kind of so on average we reckon it's going to save you about 4 hours on each client per month.
And that's a lot of time,
That is a lot of time, because if you have, this is we're talking about, if you have 10 clients, that's 40 hours a month that you're going to be saving. That's like a week, isn't it? That's like a week worth.
There you go. I love the savings that I make by saving time. But let's go back to document capture,
Yeah.
right? I know you have demonstrated a receipt where a lot of information were missing, and
Yeah.
so the system struggled a little bit. One of the standout features is the receipt scanning tool, according to the presentation. So how does MyT handle poor images or even handwritten receipt?
Um,
Handwritten receipt could be very, the old time,
yes.
I think people are still using it and it's still accepted. It's not illegal.
No.
So how does MyT handle that?
Um, we are working on improving our system for handwritten list receipts. Unfortunately, when information is missing, there's nothing you could do. Even the computer can't do anything about it. So you'll have to go in and do it manually. But for handwritten receipt, we are improving it on it. We're trying to improve. We've tried to test it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work, depending on the handwriting. But again, then you will have to go in and do it manually. There's nothing much you could do about that because a computer can only read what a computer can read, right? You can't give it something else to read and say, oh, you read this. So then it tends to be where you have this option of looking at it and saying, okay, what do you want to do with it? In this case, you kind of read everything, but in case it doesn't read everything, you can actually go and change it.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
So the way we ask people to capture those invoices is through a receipts. You take a picture of the receipts through your app, and that will come automatically on the system. And
Yeah.
and it's all very sequential, so you would have a kind of a trace of what's happening.
Yeah.
So
So I think one thing that I'm not using at the moment is your app, but I
yeah,
think if I use it, it will help me a lot because
yes,
if I have the app, I use there's a scanner on the app, like
yeah,
a
that's right.
camera,
Yeah,
which will help me to take my receipt and then
that's right.
it to upload it into my T, and
That's
then
right.
I'll see it
Yeah,
pretty
entered
much
as a
everywhere. Yeah.
yeah.
All right.
So once
Beautiful.
it's entered here, it will enter into your profit and loss, your balance sheet, your tax return as well.
Amazing. Fantastic. Now we're talking about financial statement. What makes Mighty's P&L cash flow and balance sheet generation different from what we accountants are used to?
It's very simple. The difference is just the simplicity of it. It's making very simple for you to understand what it is: income, cost of sale, expenses, and your balance sheet to have your assets and your liabilities, your bank, your current assets, your net asset, your shareholders fund, all that. Kind of keep it very simple so that it's very plain English. So you would know what it's mean. You don't have to go and get a degree in accountancy just to find out what is your balance sheet look like. You could actually see from yourself just to see, okay, that makes perfect sense. And then we also have the trial balance where the accountant who likes the trial balance can also work on the trial balance. And we've
Um,
also done a lot of kind of improvement in terms of quick search. You can search something quickly. You can search for transaction report. So here you can run a transaction report and you can do a quick search of what you want to search. For example, if you want to do something Wix, you can just search all the things on Wix. You can search all the things on the supplier, on the invoices, etc.
Lovely. Oh, that's very lovely. Um, I know the answer to this one, but then I need to ask for the audience.
Yes.
Does Mighty allow practices to customize report? For example, adding a logo or branding or even adjusting the layout to match their preferred style.
No. So the information for here is basically how you get it. The only way you could do it is to print it or export it. So it's quite simple. But we try to improve, whenever we can, the formatting of the system. So for example, with MTD, we have a reporting for MTD separately. That when I come to show you the MTD, I will actually explain to you how we've improved the reporting for MTD,
Yeah,
just so
we're
that
going to
people can
empty the
understand.
nest, so
Yeah,
hold brief on that.
yeah,
Great. Great. So yes, so now back to I think that was a very powerful explanation. Thank you for that. What I do on that sort of in terms of branding is when I have a company that I'm doing bookkeeping or any service for, if I'm generating an invoice for them, I can get their logo, and then
yeah.
my T allows me to put their logo on,
That's right.
to make it
Yeah,
specific to them,
yeah,
and they love it.
yeah.
So MTD.
Right.
I mean, this
MTD.
is coming. This is coming in April 2026, and it's mandatory. We can't run away from it.
No,
And
no.
many practices are still preparing. How is MYT designed to support accountants through this transition?
So we've gone live with HMRC. We've been approved. Everything has been done. We've
Ooh.
done test live. So that's our thing. We've done some tests on Wednesday, and like I said on my meeting on Wednesday, to say that yeah, we've done the test, we've done the proof, and it works, and we don't have any issue. So that was kind of the very good thing that we did, and yeah, so we're kind of very proud of that we managed to get it sorted out and it's worked perfectly well. For me, my issue is always making it work for myself. It has to work for myself before it can work for anyone else. So it's very much how do you say, not perfect. Well, it is perfectionism, but that's probably one of the issue that we have. We wait for the product to be good before we release it. We don't just release it and then have the issue later on, which I've been told off by other people. Said, you can just release because we want to use it as well if it's not working properly. But that's where you get with perfection. You want to make it work. So just to show how this works as an agent, it's really easy for MTD. So we've designed it in a way that the agent kind of make it so easy. So this is our dashboard for the agent, right? A MYT agent, they will do an MTD agent. So we'll click on here and they will have a list of their clients on top here, but they also have all the clients that they've actually invited on their various things. So, and the client that's been accepted, they give you the status of the relationship. It's been cancelled, it's been accepted, it's been that. And so, for example, if I choose this client here, I go and I choose a client. Now this subscription under expired, but if it wasn't expired, let's say if we go to the client here, then you can see all the client's information here, right? So all the client's information about the customer, the address, all the different things, and what you do for the clients. So it's been accepted, you get MTD, you create the quarterly return, and then you just get all the information. So it's pretty easy just to update everything. If you want to update accounting term, oops, why am I doing that? Oh, cash. And then you just get all the information, all the different things that we can do with MTD, it's here. So as long as you get the agent to, obviously, there we go. So to start here again. So yeah, so when you log into MYT as an agent, you will get your clients here. Here you can see what you've authorized all your clients. Then you will select your clients. Be careful that you have to put all your ARN code and everything else on top when you do that. So you click on MTD, make sure you have all your clients. You can create a new authorization, create a new client, individual, and request the information to be sent. So for example, we select here, create a new client. Then you can send the information to the client. For test purposes, the client will accept it. So then suddenly you get a new client. So if you choose a client on top now, then you have all the information about the client. Then you go into self-assessment, and then you get all your information about your client here. So then you add your self-employment, give you your information, and then you have your business type. That's all the details for the clients. It's automatic. All that is so easy. Just click some few buttons. Once you set it up, it's connected with HMRC. You can easily come here. You can easily look at everything, and then you can create your periodic update, generate the return. Now, whatever information is on the system, it will automatically appear here, right? If we don't have anything at this particular one, is not. But for instance, let's say if I do, if I go and I put a transaction, so if I do spend money, now let's say this is automated, but I just wanted to show for purchases a transaction, and the date will be, let's say, what date are we doing for the self-assessment? We're doing 5th of or 30th of June 2018. Still says purchases, save. But if I come here, I edit the transaction, I generate the return, generate the information. You could see this entry is already gone in.
Wow.
So it's very simple. Once your entry is happening over there, it will automatically come here. You know, you don't even have to do anything. You can just come back here. For example, we can say, okay, I receive money, same thing. Remember, all of that is going to be automated anyway. This is just to show how it would work once you have information on the system.
Yeah, since the communication is seamless, and you know.
So just to show you that you can communicate from one to the other without any problem. And then you come here, you generate return, generate information, and your sales is here. So you can save, and then you get your income, your total expenses, 0, profit. You can save it and you can submit it to HMRC. Few clicks and that's it. It's done.
Amazing. You know, I love when you said you try to get it the first time. And I know that in building systems, when you try to get it the first time, it actually builds credibility, and it means you are aware of the quality that you want to give out to your client. And I think that's very important.
Yeah, no, we definitely want to, you know, make it sure that it's 100%. So we have the profit and loss for MTD. So this is the system that we do the profit and loss for MTD. You could do your quarterly updates, and you could do all your system, whatever you need to do for that. So, and again, one client you've done, you file it. Moving to another client is as easy as this. Again, I think this client has got more reporting on her stuff. Yeah, so you can see she's got more reporting, quarterly update, self-employment, and this is the information. Now, if I change the client, obviously I need to make sure that I've got the same client on the top here. I cannot have different clients and try to make it work because it wouldn't work. So for instance, if I go back on MTD now, so give you something with more information on. So this is the profit and loss. So as soon as you've done that, this is working fine. You had your self-employment. You click on your business. Now, if we do edit, because this one I filed earlier, if I generate a return for the period that we're doing, which is April 23 to 24. Or 5 or 7, 2023, generate the return, and you could see the information is picked up. And you could see the information here, 9334.52 is the same as here. So whatever information you have is the same that's picking up. So there's no faffing around, going back and looking at it and seeing whether it's right. It's very, very clear to you that your profit and loss here, it's the same as profit and loss on here. And you can amend your file and tax return and submit it. And you do so on and so forth for all the different years. So this is how you submit it.
Right, right. You know, I've spoken to many practice accountants, and there's been a lot of hue and cry about the quarterly submission request that comes with MTD. But looking at you demonstrate, I think that pain is not as dire or as painful as we perceived it to be if we get to use this powerful MYT tool correctly.
Yes, and that is the reason why we created it, is to get the pain point. And the pain point is basically trying to stop people from pulling their hair out. You know, 31st of January is very stressful for accountant. Now imagine you're going to have 4 of them.
Yeah.
Plus the 31st of January as well. So you're going to end up with 5, which is not going to be pretty easy for people. And that's why we created the system, just to make it so that all the stuff work seamlessly and easily, so that you don't have to stress yourself. And I think in the long term, it's going to be very helpful to the client. It's going to be helpful to accountants as well, because then they don't have to worry. They will have a flow of things coming to them. They will understand what the client is submitting to them, and that would really, really help with everything. So I personally think that MTD will help accountants, not kind of, you know, giving more pain. It's just about educating the client about what they need to do. And I think a lot of clients that I've spoken with, and we've spoken to a lot of people, are very much, they understand the concept. And talking to a client the other day, and I was trying to explain to the clients, and one of the things that suddenly dawned on me is the benefit that will come to the client in the future. Because it's not just about doing the bookkeeping and everything else. It's also about paying the taxes. So imagine in 5 years' time, 10 years' time, whenever that would come. The reason HMRC started MTD is to do quarterly updates. The reason to do quarterly updates is very simple. We are not getting the tax on time. So if you start your self-employment on the 6th of April 2026, you don't pay any tax to HMRC until January 2028. That's nearly 2 years.
Yeah.
By then you could have been broke, you could have no money, you could have done anything, or you could have been really rich, whatever. And that is the biggest issue. So with MTD, hopefully when the reporting comes quarterly, the tax will be paid quarterly as well, which would mean that your client doesn't have to pay payment on accounts for next year. He would just pay for the year that he's paying. And that would mean that if you start a business next quarter and you're not doing very well, you pay the tax, then you don't do very well, then hopefully there'll be some kind of refund coming back to you, and so on and so forth. So that, I think it would be long-term benefit, because a lot of people pay so much money on accounts. I know that, but they pay so much money in advance because they haven't paid, for the first time. And it's going to be quite useful for the client if they just pay quarterly, like you have in PAYE and all the different things that you pay quarterly. And it's going to be similar with VAT as well. So I think that would help cash flow with the client in the long term. So I think it's not as doom as people put it. And I think that's one angle. I was talking to a client and suddenly dawned on me that this is eventually what will happen, because they will eventually want quarterly payments from you, because you would know.
It looks like it's going to be a win-win for both HMRC and
yes.
And clients and even accountants as well.
Yeah, because people tend to forget that we pay our taxes so that the government can run. And if no one wants to pay taxes, who's going to pay for the office, for the school, for the doctors, for the nurses, for the firemen, for everything, right? We have to pay our taxes. We just need to make sure that we pay the right amount of taxes. We don't overpay or underpay. So, and that's what we are here for.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I don't know if you've thought about this, but obviously, I mean, it's a very dicey question. There are clients who are digitally disengaged, or they do not have the digital capabilities to report. And I've always asked myself and always had this conversation with fellow accountants, like, how do we help them in the era of MTD? Like that.
Yes. And that's one of the reasons we work. Our creation was on the lowest common denominator. And when we started it 10 years ago, the worst client, so we're talking about the worst client, were the customers that used to, so as a qualified accountant, I have a practice, so I've learned how people work. I've worked in practice, so I know how things work. So when we're doing early adopters, the people who was bringing their receipt on the 31st or the last week of January were the first one to adopt the system, because they don't want it either. It's just that they can't have any system to help them. It's not that they're just bad people or lazy people. They just can't help it. They just don't have the time. They don't have the method of collecting stuff. And by giving them the app, just to say, you just take a picture of your receipt, don't worry about anything else, that helped them so much that they were then able to say, oh, you know what? I can actually send me an email on my bank statement. I can actually send you a CSV on my bank statement, which you can import on MYT, or I can connect my open banking with MYT, So they were able to do more once they started having this help to say, okay, just capture all your expenses through an app. That's all you need to do. It's not difficult. Take a picture. You like to take picture for Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter and all the different things? Just take a picture of your receipt. And those early adopters was actually the worst people that we've worked with in terms of giving information. But they were the first one to collect all the information. And now everyone just send the information. So
that's what I was thinking, with the app, you can just, most of the things that most of the stuff that I struggle with is collection of information from the client to do their bookkeeping, their financial statements, to be able to know the right amount of tax, or whether if they are due any reliefs to do. But if the information is not coming, if for instance, if I'm doing the bookkeeping and the information is not coming, then I can't do anything about that. If the clients have already scanned their receipt and it's already in the app, I as an accountant, I am able to do that without inviting the client to bring the physical receipt to me.
That's right.
And that saves a lot of time. So for me, I'm on the time. So this is really beautiful, and it helps them as well. They don't need to, bookkeeping becomes very seamless and what have you. So a lot of advantages.
Yeah, because it's helped them. And as I said, once you've done the extraction part, all this information will automatically put here. And then all you need to do is just look at the income part and then just work it out that way.
Amazing.
So you have your profit and loss. And look, MTD, nothing has changed. It's still self-assessment, right? It's still the fact that you provide the information to HMRC. They will tell you whether it's the right information or wrong information. All these things are still there. So nothing has changed in that concept. So you're still going to have to do your entries, your disallowable expenses, etc. So it's just work the same way.
I guess the only thing that has changed is multiple clicks. So
yes.
you click more than you used to click in the previous dispensation, which is okay. I mean, these days we love clicking on our phone, so man, it's not a big deal, isn't it?
Exactly. I mean, people use their phone all the time. So to use, to use their phone to take a picture or to use their phone to upload something is not that difficult, and they don't find it difficult.
Right. So with MTD and with everything going digital, it raises questions in relation to security and compliance as well. So that's what I'm going to talk to you next about. So, data security is a top priority for us accountants. What measures does MYT use to protect information, especially when scanning or uploading documents?
So all our servers are encrypted. So we have SSL. So we all, in terms of that, we have data protection officer. We make sure that we are registered for GDPR. We're making sure that all our things are on Microsoft Azure in the UK. So it's UK based. So it's not, somewhere in another country where we don't have access to it. And we also make sure that, all our information is encrypted when it goes in. So making sure that, there's an encryption at the end of each of the information. And that's why we have two-factor authenticator when you log in. And that's why we have information to make sure that, no one else can access your system apart from you. So even the client, if he doesn't invite you as an accountant, you can access the system. So there's two ways that we do it. Obviously, there's a client who subscribe with us and give you access. And then there's the other way is the accountant subscribe and then give the client access. Either way, both of them are very secure so that you don't have to worry about the data security.
Amazing. I remember in our previous conversation, you mentioned you've had an interaction with HMRC recently regarding MYT's functionalities and all that. Still on compliance, do you think, or what would you say about ensuring that the compliance with the UK accounting standards and HMRC requirement, to what extent would you say are met?
Oh, we fully work with HMRC. So all these systems are tested with HMRC's portal. So we are developer with HMRC. We are prescribing to them. They give us up-to-date information every time we go to their meetings. We follow everything that they've asked us to do. And, we've been approved, as I said, last week to go live. And this week we tested it and it's working fine. So, so we follow every process that HMRC give us. So they are probably, been helping us quite a lot in terms of, making sure that we're getting it right. But also we have good developers as well that have been working with us for a long time now. So to understand all of that.
Congratulations on the approval for you to go live.
Yes, so
must have been a very long and tiring journey.
Yeah, it was. And it's nice when you finally on Wednesday when we tested it and it was working and you're thinking, cool, that's all working fine, So that was really, 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 really good.
I have no doubt that many accountants like myself are going to adopt this. But then I begin to think about integration and workflow, right? So, how traditional and accustomed we become to certain softwares when we start using them and we think, oh, I'm okay, I'm very comfortable with that. Accountants often worry about switching systems. So what existing platforms or bank fees does MYT integrate with?
So
And I'm going to have a follow-up. The follow-up is, if I'm using a given software now and I want to migrate in to MYT, is the transition that seamless?
yes, so two part of the question. We are now actually improving our open banking. So we disable it at the moment. But the idea of open banking is to make sure that when the information comes in, we're working on an agent so that the agent will automatically post it. So we're training an AI agent for a bookkeeper. So we're training it to become a bookkeeper. And once you get the information from your open banking, it will automatically post it as we train it as a bookkeeper. So we're working on that kind of part of it to make sure that it's work. The second part of your question was about how do we
Migration.
how do we make sure that clients easily forward. So we've connected with QuickBooks, so client can import all their data from QuickBooks to our system, and it's very simple. You would basically come here, settings, general settings, and you will integrate with QuickBooks or Zero. But we've tested the QuickBooks one, that works. We haven't tested the Zero one, but the QuickBooks one where we can import all the transaction from before, so you will have it all in the system, and then everything else that you want to do would be on the system.
Beautiful. It's not easy.
It's easy. I say we like to make things easy. We don't want to complicate our life.
And that's all we want. So now let's talk about the commercial value, right? So how does MYT help practices increase? If it's an open question, to be fair.
I mean, look, our pricing is always based on how you can actually improve your practice, right? So if you look at our pricing, it's, people complain it's too cheap, but it's something that obviously the prices will go up with inflation and everything else that we will have, like with everything else. But I think our bottom line is quite good. So we can actually, we are what we call a smart, lean startup.
Yeah.
So we basically kind of don't have a lot of baggages around us. We work very efficiently. We work very nicely with people. So the pricing is very much like, we have those kind of pricing, 25 clients for £150 a month. But these are more like guideline. So if you have 5 clients, we'll charge you £6 per client. And then you can actually charge your client £10 or whatever you want to charge your client as a package inclusive. So we reckon that a lot of the pricing would be within the client. Some accountant told us, no. They want the client to pay the £10 a month, which is what the normal price is. But for the accountant, it's £5 a month or £6 a month or £4 a month, depending how many clients they have. So this kind of helped them to understand how they want to do that. And that's a very important part of it, just to understand the flexibility of the price plan and understanding how you can actually generate. And we don't have this restriction on user. For example, for MTD, if you have your client who's got land and property, he's got self-employment, you can use the same system for both of them. It doesn't need to buy extra subscription. It doesn't need to do the same if you have foreign property. It just makes it easier because we don't want to have a pricing that you need to have a degree just to learn the pricing, to work out how much you're going to charge, how much I'm going to charge you. So we want to make things simple and easy to use. And that's the kind of a motto that we have.
Wow. These prices, in my opinion, are the best in the market at the moment. So viewers, I mean, you've seen that. So the choice is yours now. Future development. What new features or enhancements are you planning for the next 12 to 24 months? Have you got anything in the pipeline?
Yeah, so basically the agent software. So we developed our agent software on banking, and obviously that didn't quite work. So the agent software was basically, the idea is open banking will bring the information, you will have all the information, and this will automatically be posted. So there will not be any manual data, and then you will just review it as an accountant. But that didn't quite work. We had issues with that. And then I realized that some other people were doing it and they had issue with it as well. But they actually went to everyone telling them that, oh, you could do it with our system and everything else. But we didn't do that because we thought it was not right. So that's the one. The second development we're doing is we are doing the trial balance here. You could do profit and loss and balance sheet accounts production. So you can generate an accounts production straight away from here.
Wow.
So have the accounts and look at it. and do all the system, your trial balance, all the information, syncs your trial balance, and work it out. So, look at it. So, and then have your directors, all the information that you need to do. This is work in progress. So this is going to happen within the next year or so. So that's a mandate. So we are hoping that in the next one, we have more automation. We have our help sheet here, but we want that to be more interactive, so you can actually ask a question. So like we have a chatbot here, but you can actually ask question about MYT or do a call and everything else. We could actually do the same thing on the system, where you can actually speak to the system, query the system. And then we're also improving the reporting, making sure that we have enough adequate reporting, even though we've got quite a lot, but we just want to do more. And as you know, we also have the inventory capacity, so we could do stock management and everything else, which work really well.
Wow. Well, I mean, these features being added onto what you have already demonstrated would make this tool very powerful, because not many known softwares, I mean, have these features, and so it will make you it will make you stand miles apart from what the market have. So I'm going to encourage you to keep working.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, let's keep going. And how do you see AI transforming the accountant profession, and where does MYT fit into that future?
I mean, we are AI powered. So from the very beginning, so we didn't start as an accounting software. We started as a OCR AI machine learning software, and then we had the bookkeeping on top of it. Most software have the bookkeeping, and then they develop the AI. So we kind of AI led technology. So we are trying to include as much AI possible, AI functionality as possible, and the machine learning automation as well. So everything that you could actually input on MYT would be tried to kind of make it more AI led than anything else. So anything that we get new technology, we would want to put it into MYT just to make it to work. I'm a bit of a tech kind of geek, so I just like to put new things on. There are so many things that we put in we don't even show to people, because I just want to try that.
Yeah, and I think people haven't got a choice actually these days, because tech has come to stay, and in most cases we don't even have choice than to learn. So, and I love the fact that, I mean, you guys are always on hand to help people who are struggling with the system, and that we are bringing this interview to a close, but with these closing questions. If you had 30 seconds to convince a practice accountant to try MYT, what would you say?
I would say just have a look at us. You don't need to try us, but just understand what we do. That's very important. Once you understand what we do, how we can save you time, how we can save you money, you would eventually just say, okay, I'm going to choose it myself. It's a no-brainer, but you need to understand it. Just don't think that it's just another software. It is not just another software. It's a very powerful software. Just trying to get to people just to understand that it's a very powerful software. Don't try to compare MYT with anyone, because MYT is a standalone software on its own that can do a lot more than people realize.
And I agree on that. So, and finally, how can accountants get started, and what onboarding support do you offer?
So technically, an accountant will come here, try it now, put their details, and buy the price. Once they've got that, we get notification to say that Emmanuel has subscribed, and then we will contact him to do an onboarding process. So he booked the information when he wants to onboard, and we show them how to do this. How, for example, to do your MTD as an agent, what information to put in. We guide them on what to do, how to add their clients, everything about what they need to do. We will help them with everything.
Is that
And
for free?
That is for free. And we do
Cool.
online support, we do phone-to-phone support, we do Zoom team support. And you'd be surprised how many people still struggle with Team and Zoom, but we help them as much as we can.
All right. Well, viewers, you can't get this anywhere. And so, yeah, again, the choice is yours. Well, Mr. Umesh, thank you. MYT is clearly built with the realities of practice life,
Yes.
and and I'm sure that many accountants will find it a powerful addition to their workflow. Thank you again.
Thank you very much for having me.